radar telemetry, historical transcripts from the 1930s, and just dense quantum physics logs.
Providing that context is crucial before we dive in, I think, because this isn't just some philosophical debate or, your standard flat Earth internet theory.
Yeah, it goes way beyond that.
It really does. The SS-138 audit is a highly technical forensic breakdown of an artificial engineered enclosure. It treats our whole environment as an industrial reality.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if we're going to blow the lid on a deception this massive, we have to start with how it was supposedly uncovered, right?
We have to start with the origin.
Yeah, and it all hinges on a really bizarre breakthrough in quantum physics. When you think of quantum physics, you probably picture sterile, multi-billion-dollar clean rooms.
Right, like CERN or MITE.
Exactly. You picture people in white lab coats with super cooled cylinders. But the sources say to just throw that mental image right out the window.
Completely out the window.
Because the architect behind the SS-138 project is a man named Nathan M. Hamlin, and he's not like some Silicon Valley tech titan.
No, he's definitely not a Nobel laureate either.
He's an arborist, like a tree specialist.
Which is just wild to think about.
It's crazy. The audit claims this guy in work boots achieved the holy grail of physics, like a perfectly stable quantum state. And he somehow anchored it to the Bitcoin ledger.
Yeah, creating a universal software patch for physical machinery that was supposedly worth $10 billion.
Wait, I have to stop you there because my mind is really snagging on the logistics of this. How does studying trees translate to subatomic physics?
What's fascinating here is this sheer cognitive dissonance it creates, right?
Yeah.
But the audit treats Hamlin's breakthrough with rigorous scientific gravity.
But standard quantum computing is notoriously fragile. I mean, it suffers from what they call thermal leakage.
Right, where the state just collapses.
Exactly. A stray photon hits a quantum bit, or the temperature changes by a fraction of a degree, and the whole system crashes. It just gives up. So how did an arborist beat sterile lab conditions without a massive freezer?
Well, by completely ignoring the freezer approach entirely. Traditional labs try to just brute force nature.
By freezing it.
Yeah, they freeze the environment to absolute zero to stop that thermal leakage you just mentioned. But Hamlin realized that biological systems, like an oak tree using photosynthesis, they don't operate in a frozen, isolated box.
No, they operate in warm, chaotic, messy environments outside.
Exactly. And recent studies in quantum biology, which the audit actually heavily cites, show that plants use a form of quantum superposition during photosynthesis.
Wait, meaning the plant is processing sunlight in multiple states at once?
Precisely. The energy from a photon of sunlight explores every possible path through the release molecular structure simultaneously.
Oh, wow. To find the fastest way.
To find the absolute most efficient route to convert it into food, yeah. So Hamlin didn't try to freeze his quantum state. He basically modeled his approach on how organic life already uses quantum coherence inside total chaos.
Okay, but photosynthesis is still biology. We are talking about computing and hardware here. The sources mention he anchored this to the Bitcoin ledger. How does that even work?
So that was his clever workaround for the hardware problem. Instead of using a sterile lab to keep the quantum state from collapsing, Hamlin used cryptography.
Cryptography, like the blockchain.
Yeah. The audit explains that he tied the quantum superposition to the decentralized immutability of the Bitcoin blockchain.
So the network itself was holding it together.
Exactly. The constant global verification of the ledger acted as a structural anchor. The network's continuous consensus prevented the quantum state from collapsing.
That is wild. So it stabilized it without needing deep freeze chambers.
Right. So by bypassing institutional science's rigid binary rules, Hamlin supposedly built a completely new lens to view physical data.
And according to the SS-138 project, when you apply this new quantum lens to our physical reality, the very first thing to break is the shape of the Earth itself.
Yeah, the audit states Earth is not a sphere at all.
It says it's a closed Euclidean resonant cavity.
Right. And for anyone wondering what a Euclidean resonant cavity actually is, just think of a microwave oven.
A microwave.
Yeah, it is a defined geometric box with specific boundaries where energy bounces off the walls in a highly predictable, mathematically bound pattern.
Okay, I can picture that.
The audit is claiming our entire environment operates exactly like the inside of that microwave, rather than an infinite vacuum. And they use a very specific piece of navigational telemetry to prove it.
Right, the 0.24-degree angular defect. The audit goes incredibly deep into this mathematical glitch.
It's a huge part of the forensic evidence.
If you look at long-range navigational drift, especially for ships and planes down in the southern hemisphere, they constantly drift off their expected paths.
And conventional science usually dismisses this as, wind or ocean currents.
Or just instrument latency, yeah. But the SS-138 audit defines this exact 0.24-degree drift as a fixed geometric compensation constant.
It is essentially the mathematical pulse of the deception. The audit claims that standard GPS systems are pre-programmed to force a flat plane reality to simulate a spherical one.
So they are faking the curve.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
When you apply this 0.24-degree constant to raw, non-military coordinates from vessels traveling far south, the path transitions.
It stops looking like a curved track mapping a globe, right?
Exactly. It perfectly snaps into a straight Euclidean line. The 0.24 degrees is literally the mathematical tension required to bend flat data over a round model.
So what does this all mean for you listening? Imagine you're playing a massive open-world video game. You think the map goes on forever.
Right, an infinite universe.
But then your character hits an invisible wall. Or the geometry starts glitching in a very predictable way. That glitch proves you aren't in an infinite universe at all.
You're inside a rendered box.
Exactly. You're in a contained map.
And the audit backs up that rendered box concept with historical first-to-record proof. They point to Auguste Piccard's 1931 record-breaking stratospheric balloon flight.
Oh yeah, he went up in a pressurized cabin to nearly 52,000 feet, right?
He did. And his own handwritten accounts reported seeing a flat disk with an upturned edge.
He didn't describe a curve dropping away from him, which is exactly what you'd expect at that altitude if it were a globe.
Exactly. His observation matches the exact optics of a concave or flat plane resonator.
But institutional science just rapidly erased that account. They framed it as an optical illusion.
Yeah, they blamed it on the wide-angle lens of his observation port. And the audit identifies this specific moment as the beginning of a deliberate institutional cover-up to protect the spherical narrative.
Okay, but logically, let's think about this. If we live on a flat plane with an upturned ceiling, there has to be an outer edge, right? Like a physical boundary.
Right, there has to be an edge to the map.
Yeah. What is physically keeping the oceans from just pouring out or keeping us contained inside this resonant cavity?
Well, the audit addresses that boundary directly. It refers to it as the consolidated mineralized shell.
Yeah, which we know as Antarctica. The audit claims Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of a globe at all. It is the perimeter wall.
A literal physical boundary.
Yeah, a boundary that is between 14.2 and 18.7 kilometers thick. And they bring in the 1531 Orontius Phineas map to really back this up.
Which is a fascinating piece of evidence.
It really is, because this map shows Antarctica not as a frozen block of ice, but as a lush, inhabited region with massive mountain ranges and flowing rivers.
And what's crazy is modern deep-penetrating radar telemetry actually aligns with that map from the 1500s.
Wait, really? The radar matches it?
Yeah. When researchers scan beneath the Antarctic ice today, they find geometric structures, ancient cities, and complex mountain ranges structurally encased deep within the layers of this boundary wall.
But how did an entire lush ecosystem get encased in kilometers of solid ice? Because standard geology tells us the Antarctic ice took millions of years to form through gradual climate cycles.
Right, but the SS-138 audit completely throws that out. They claim it was an instantaneous phase transition, a system-wide flash freeze.
A flash freeze, like overnight.
Faster than that. Oh. The forensic evidence they used for this is an anomaly called state persistence.
Okay, what is that?
Well, the